And also we got the interest rate hike.
Yes. So
3/4 of a point.
3/4 of a point. What do you think
Well,
effect is going to have on, like, say, the housing market, for instance? Is this really going to cool shit off, especially now going into fall and the winter when the market typically starts to take a, simmer down a little bit?
Individual realtors are seeing slowdowns, but we haven't yet. Not
yet.
Well, yes, we have, but not in a way that has caused me financial stress. Like, I'm not making as much money as I was last year, but I'm getting by and I'm paying my bills, and I'm still comfortable. I'm not in a place where I'm starting to get scared. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know how we don't eventually get like a bad slowdown or a recession. Like, it's like there's only so long this type of shit can continue where the cooling effect does have a cooling effect, right? Like, they're trying to slow down the amount of money that's circulating because there's so fucking much of it, and after a while, if you make it unaffordable, then it's just gonna be unaffordable. And the funny thing is, it's weird when you hear about like the Great Reset. You'll own nothing and you'll like it, and like everything coming out of COVID, when you start seeing them jacking up the fucking interest rates, you start wondering, like, is this actually, they're just doing it to make it unaffordable. It's probably just cyclical, right? We got bad inflation now, so now they need to fight it. But the fucking chairman of the Federal Reserve, I don't even know the guy's name. I know his face, though.
What is it?
He's like, he's got the white hair and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And he's like, unfortunately, this is going to be painful, and we're going to have to crank these up to try to, like, we have to deal with inflation, because otherwise you can let it run amok. So it's like, there's only so many tools. The funny thing is, there's really so many tools within their power to fight it once it's there, because the chairman of the Federal Reserve doesn't spend the fucking money.
It's ultimately on Congress.
By Congress. Yeah. Congress just inflates this fucking money, like they're just farting out dollar
on them.
Dollar bills 24 hours a day,
printing
nonstop.
nonstop.
It never stops running. There's the only two things that never stop moving: fucking time and fucking the printing press for the U.S. dollars or whatever. So now he's stuck with a situation that they have to figure out a solution to. The part about the interest rate hike, to me, is the amount, because I think we talked about this earlier. My understanding is that a normal interest rate hike for the feds would be like a 1/4 point.
Yeah.
So, and they would do that frequently in order to let those points add up, right? So at their quarterly meeting for Q1, we're going to do a 1/4 point interest rate hike. It's Q2, okay, we'll increase it by another point. Or maybe in the fall we'll increase it, and we'll have 6 months at that 1/4 point increase. They're going 3/4 of a point. And when it's that drastic, it leads you to believe that the problem is pretty bad that they're trying to fight. Like, inflation is going to get worse. They see a recession coming. And they're actually, the Fed, I think the Fed chief, and I don't want to misquote him, or chairman, said that basically, unfortunately, we're going to be causing a recession, in order to try to beat this inflation. It's going to happen. It's going to be worse before it gets better. It's going to be painful. So, the only question is, how soon does it come? But 3/4 of a point is a lot. It makes that money that much more expensive. Like, if you thought people were hesitant when the rates were going up by like only a 1/4 point at a time, you start raising it almost 1%. Like, now you're getting real serious increases. And then if they're willing to start doing 3/4 point increases, are they going to get comfortable with that? Like, instead of being a 1/4 point interest, is it a 1/2 point or 3/4 of a point every time, or maybe even a whole point next time? Like, how fucking bad is it going to get?
What I want to know is, what is this actually going to do? Because so inflation hit some of the highest annual rates in 40 years, reaching 8.3% in August. So I get it. This is, they got to, extreme times require extreme measures. But, I mean, I get they're saying to try and fight inflation. Okay, what is that? What actual impact will that have on inflation, I wonder? Is it just a Band-Aid on an arterial bleed when it needs a tourniquet? Or, because I just don't know how much influence they have over the overall trajectory of the entire economy and the overall trajectory of inflation in general. Like, is it going to be enough, or is it, again, a Band-Aid on a bleeding artery? I'm not sure. So,
yeah,
Or are we just all going to suffer even more on our way down? It's like we're going down. Are they just going to make us all suffer while we go down just by beating us up with high interest rates when it doesn't even stem the tide, doesn't turn back inflation? Congress still spends recklessly. They just passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which we all know is not going to reduce inflation. Sorry for anyone who's optimistic about that. It's not. Even the fucking...
it's inflation reduction.
Even the feds admit it won't fucking reduce inflation except by like 0.01% or something maybe in a couple of years. Wow. Bravo.
Yeah, more that.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. To your point, like how much are they interconnected? I mean, but the way they explained it was that during COVID, they spent so much, and there was so much government spending and so much money going into hands of people that the government was spending, is that there was too many dollars chasing too few goods.
Yeah.
Because the supplies had been sold down, they were disrupted. Some of it was just poor planning in the amounts of stuff or amounts of supplies that these businesses were ordering, or that they weren't ordering a lot because of the shutdowns. They didn't need as much as they did before, and now supply and demand kind of lag or get ahead of each other sometimes. And so what they're saying is, like, if the money's more valuable and it costs more to use it, then that should slow the demand down to the point where it matches supply.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're trying to get to. But like you said, to your point, it could just be actually a more painful landing. Like, it could be that we're going into some shit no matter what. But I think if they might not be able to control, like, individual parts of the big picture other than just the raising interest rates, that may be the only thing these motherfuckers can do to try to make supply match demand.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a recession in a long time. I mean, I don't even know this if we really look at it, like, objectively, just on the simple numbers, I don't know when the last time we had a real recession was. Since the last crash.
Yeah,
we had the crash, which was they call that an actual there's a recession and then there's a depression. They were saying that was depression level shit.
Mm-hmm.
where we were heading. Obviously, government stepped in and helped out, but and bailed out that from happening to go from a real depression. But they said in terms of severity of what was going on at the time, that was a depression level, like, economics were going on then. So that was the last time we had a recession. We're in 2022 right now. So cyclically speaking and historically speaking, you're due for a recession. It's just that there's a lot of other factors that we're dealing with right now that'll make it harder for people to deal with, right? We just came out of COVID. Literally, our minds have been fucked for like 2 years straight, and we've been dealing with physical disease, a very nasty little motherfucker of a disease, too, right?
No joke.
That can kill you, if it's bad enough, or if you have the best of luck, it's just a mild thing and you're non-symptomatic. Some people are just straight up non-symptomatic; they didn't even know they had it. But in any event, we just came out from dealing with that. So having to deal with that on top of now financial stress, it's this nasty shit, perfect storm, this shit storm we're dealing with. And so maybe it'll be more painful, even though, like, a recession under normal times would just be, it's going to be hard out there for a pimp for a while, and then we'll fucking get back at it, once this is over. But it is what it is, I guess. It's like, but it's going to be harder to deal with, I think, because I know I wouldn't want to be coming, after everything we just went through, literally, like, forced against our will to have these shutdowns and shit for way longer than they should have went on. And now that we're back to it, you're just handicapping us in another way. Fucked up. It's gonna be interesting how people deal with this, and how bad will it get is the interesting question, because we haven't had a recession at all in that many years. Like, is it going to be a bad one now since we had that long? Like, is the length of your time where you don't have a recession proportional to how bad the recession is going to be when you finally get it then? I don't think so necessarily, but this one, there's just so many factors at play that could make this a worse recession. But we're heading toward there. One estimate I seen